Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about how to spot an envious person in your circle who's on a mission to ruin the relationships with the people you care about. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you find value here, share the video. I'm Cassandra Mack, founder of strategiesfoремpoweredliving.com and CassandраMackMinistries.com. For more information about the company, ministry, my books, or coaching, you'll see all of the links in the video description box, including the link if you'd like to advertise on the Cassandra Mack podcast. So how do you spot an envious person who's already in your circle, who's on a mission to ruin relationships with the people you care about? You know, this situation is so much more common than people think, that you will have somebody who's envious of you who you're not aware of, and they're already in your circle. And not only are they envious, that's bad enough, but they are on a mission to sabotage relationships with the people who you care about. See, the thing about envy is envy hides. Envy hides. And the reason envy hides is twofold. Number one, there's a lot of shame around envy. So most people are not going to admit, I am deeply jealous of the fact that you have this going on in your life and I don't. I am deeply jealous of the fact that people gravitate towards you and they like you instantly, and I struggle to get people to like me. I am envious of the fact that you always get to sing the solo and I don't get to sing the solo. You can insert the example of the thing that the person is envious of, because people can be envious of anything. It can be something material. It can be something about your personality. It can be something about your appearance. It can be your connection to people, your relationships. So number one, the thing is envy hides, right? And two, when a person is envious of you and the envy has taken them to a place where they have bad intentions for you, oftentimes when a person has bad intentions for you, they don't tell you that up front because it makes it difficult to achieve the goal of doing the thing that they desire to do and ruining the areas of your life that they desire to ruin if they tell you, because now you know to prepare yourself and you know to dodge a bullet, so to speak, right? So I'm not saying that envy is never apparent, but we're talking about, on average, usually a person who is envious hides. Not always. Nothing is that cut and dry. So I want to share with you 4 tips that will help you identify if you're dealing with an envious person in your circle. Not only envious, that's not really the focus, but an envious person who's on a mission to ruin relationships with people you care about. Because so often you'll find that you let somebody in your circle, they've plundered through your relationships, causing all kind of controversy, he say, she say. You done fell out with people and you were like, we were cool before this third person was introduced into the mix. What the heck happened? And you're left like wondering, what went wrong? So number one, they slither their way into your inner circle so they can get a sense of who's near to your heart. See, when a person is envious of you, and not only envy, but the envy has taken them to a point where they don't want to see you shine, where they want to knock you down a few pegs, where they want to see some suffering happen in your life. Because think about a person who's in a state of envy. They're in a state of misery. They're in a state of suffering. And we know that saying, right, that misery loves company. And there's a reason these old school sayings are around, because people have experienced these things enough to be able to say, this tends to happen. When X happens, Y tends to be the result. So they'll slither their way into your inner circle, and they're slithering their way into your inner circle not out of a genuine and sincere wanting to build relationships and get to know some of the people you know. So it's not from a genuine and a sincere place, but it is about getting a sense of who's near to your heart. Because when a person knows who's near to your heart, they also have a sense of where you're vulnerable. And they know how to get to you, how to get to the areas in your life that may be more open to vulnerabilities, because they know who's near to your heart. Now, let me be clear. We don't own people, right? None of us own people. So people are allowed to be friends with whoever they want to be friends with. I want to be very clear here. So we're not talking about the fact that they are befriending people. We're talking about the motive and the intention. And so when the intention to get into your inner circle is about just wanting to know who's near to your heart, not because they care about you and whoever's important to you is important to them from a place of care, concern, and genuine love, but because they are looking for areas of vulnerability where they can penetrate those vulnerabilities to hold something over you, to have a way in to knock you down a peg, to have a way in to sabotage something that's important to you that those people closest to you will know. If somebody's spending time around you and your family, they're getting a sense of who's close to your heart. If somebody is spending a lot of time around you and your close friends who you've known a long time, they are going to have an eyewitness account of the dynamics between you and your friend. They might see some of the struggles, right? We have ups and downs in relationships. No people are no person is perfect. And so there are going to be areas about people that may frustrate us from time to time. And so they may look at those things that frustrate us from time to time and escalate it and make mountains out of molehills, but they wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't privy to your inner circle. So they'll slither their way into your inner circle for the purpose of getting a sense of who's near to your heart to see where they can poke holes. And you'll probably start thinking back if you've experienced an envious person who kind of plundered through your inner circle, so to speak, with the purpose of ruining relationships, creating controversy, exacerbating and escalating situations that might have been small situations and then they turned into bigger situations because this person was feeding drama, feeding conflict, feeding negativity. You'll probably be able to think back and say, oh my goodness, it clicks. Yep, this person did this. 2, they will try to alienate and isolate you from people you are close to. And so be mindful of a person who will try to alienate and isolate you from people you are close to. So sometimes what a person who's envious of you will also do is they will find fault with all the people that you are close to so that they can look for a way to create separation. It's a divide and a conquer type of tactic. And so they will say something along the lines of, and you can think about the exact example. So it could be something as simple as, boy, the way your sister speaks to you, it seems like she's so jealous of you. And maybe you and your sister, you have your ups and downs, but you love each other. And this individual is honing in on something that is none of their business, number one, right? Because this is your family relationship. And when you try to say, well, I've got this, I'm good. My sister and I have our ups and downs, but, we love each other. And at that point, they should let it go. Y'all are grown adults. But instead of letting it go because you've already said you got this, so if you're saying you've got this, you're communicating a boundary. Leave it alone. And so instead of leaving it alone, well, I just want to say, because I noticed this, I noticed that, and they're nitpicking every little thing to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. So be mindful of people who try to alienate, not just alienate, but alienate and isolate you from the people you're close to, because it's an attempt to weaken your support system. It is an attempt to put you in a situation where you don't have people who you can turn to during the difficult and the challenging times. So a lot of times a person who is envious, and they can be envious of the strength of your relationships, they can be envious of the way that you and your people are close to one another, and they'll try to alienate and isolate you by saying little things to try to get you to turn against the people who were always there for you. So be mindful of that. 3, when they get into your circle, they'll dig around trying to find out about your flaws and vulnerabilities, and then they'll initiate entire conversations around these things so that they can use your flaws to weaken your alliances. This is so common. And when you're dealing with a person who's not only envious, but who's a master manipulator, these are like master manipulation tactics. It is easy not to notice what they're doing because it's in the subtleties that people get away with stuff. So a lot of times they'll dig around and they'll ask questions about your personal life, things you haven't revealed. And they'll have whole conversations about your relationship behind your back, but they will pretend that they're concerned. I'm so concerned about Jenny. Jenny's back with Sam, and you know how Sam is. I'm so concerned about Tasha because, and then you can fill in the blanks. And it would be one thing if they were concerned, but if they're that concerned and y'all are all adults, why don't they come to you? Why does the concern conversation always have to happen behind your back? Help me out. Why do the concern conversations always have to happen behind somebody's back? Because that third party can't do a whole lot. And then this is the big key. They'll say, I'm concerned, but don't say nothing. Now, see, this is where you know that this is an issue, because if you're concerned and the goal is to help the person, but you're telling them not to say anything, you've tied their hands. So you're giving them private information about an individual, but you're saying don't say anything about it. How can they help if their hands are tied? So be mindful. And this is going to be very triggering for people who operate like this, for people who operate under the radar with the spirit of envy, trying to manipulate other people. You might even see some of this in the comments. So they'll dig around trying to find out about your flaws, your vulnerabilities. And not only that, they'll initiate entire conversations. Sometimes when a person is envious of you, you find they are preoccupied with asking other people, what do they think about you? So what do you think about Sarah? What do you think about Tom? And they done ask 10 people, because they are trying to get a sense of whether or not they can build alliances if other people feel the same way. Well, Sarah's really sensitive. Tom, you know how Tom is. Well, no, how is Tom? And why are they having whole conversations with you behind your back? See, there's something sneaky to that. So you have to be mindful of an individual like this who you may have allowed in your circle, because this is the thing about a person who is envious of you. A lot of times envious people will befriend you. So it is a lot of times people will believe when a person is envious of you, they'll stay away from you. Not always. Sometimes when a person is envious of you, they want to get up close and personal so that they can have an account of the inner workings of your life, right? Because it is difficult to hurt somebody that you know nothing about. I'm not talking about going up to somebody physically and hurting them, but it is difficult to harm someone emotionally and you know nothing about them. Betrayal always comes from within your own circle. So oftentimes an envious person will befriend you. They'll compliment you, and you'll find the very things that they compliment you about are the very things that they can't stand about you, because it triggers insecurity in them. Now, let me be clear again, because people tend to run with stuff. I am not saying that everyone who compliments you is envious. Of course not. There are people who are able to compliment people and it's coming from a good, genuine place, and they admire awesome things about you. What I'm saying is, when an individual is operating in the spirit of envy, the compliments are not genuine. And a lot of times they will befriend you, compliment you, to get you to drop your guard around them so they can start to gain your trust. And as they gain your trust and you spend more time with them, and you let them in your life and you open up your life to them, you will begin to see some of these things. Number 4, they purposefully take a conversation you had about a mutual friend out of context and give the other person misleading tidbits about the conversation. Has that ever happened to you? If it has, put a 2 in the chat. And so put a 2 in the comments, I'm sorry. So you could be talking about a situation, right? Well, I went to get my hair done by, we'll make up a name. I went to get my hair done by Keisha. And Keisha, and you're just kind of talking, and you're not saying anything negative about Keisha, but maybe there was like 1 or 2 things that you were not satisfied with. And the next week they go to the salon that Keisha works. They make an appointment with Keisha. Don't know Keisha, but they're going to make it a point to make an appointment with Keisha. And as Keisha's doing their hair, it's so interesting because Samantha, recommended that I get my hair done by you. Oh, that's so nice. Well, I thought it was odd that Samantha recommended I get my hair done by you. Well, why? Well, the way she was talking about you, Keisha, I got the sense that she don't really like you like that. I got the sense that she thinks that you are a horrible stylist and you don't know what you're doing. I got the sense that, well, why would you feel that way? And she took the whole conversation out of context, gave Keisha the stylist misleading tidbits of information. And now when you go see Keisha next week, Keisha got an attitude with you, don't want to do your hair no more. And the other stylists are looking at you sideways and you have no idea what's going on. And so this person who is envious, one by one, they are trying to ruin relationships with people you care about. So you got to be mindful about people like this. And when you find that there's too much he say, she say around somebody who's in your circle, that should raise a red flag. When there's too much confusion that seems to always come from this one person in your circle, they seem to be the common denominator of the confusion, no matter the relationship, whether it's your hairstylist, whether it's a mutual friend, a family member, there's always a misunderstanding. Like, we grown, we both speak the same language. There's not that many misunderstandings in the world. You's a liar, and you are stirring up controversy on purpose because you're throwing mud on my name. You's a liar, you're a hater, and because you want to cause confusion in my life, you trying to play me. See, sometimes we got to call a thing a thing. And this is the thing about envy to keep in mind. So I'm going to give you the scripture. James chapter 3, verse 16 is very clear about envy. And this is what it says. It says, where envy and strife exists, there is confusion and every evil work. So the hallmarks of envy are going to be confusion and every evil work. This is why I am always leery when I meet somebody and there's always some sort of confusion around them. Ain't that many misunderstandings in the world. When you meet somebody and as time goes on, maybe this is a person you befriend, they seem nice enough, because remember, envy hides. So they seem nice enough in the beginning, they're complimentary, they say all the right things. And they seem nice enough, right? We could all get God. That's just human nature. But as time goes on, you notice, this person, there's always some controversy that I find myself in that has nothing to do with me. And this person seems to be at the center of this controversy. There's always some sort of misunderstanding when my name comes up in this misunderstanding. There's always something that's taken out of context when my name comes up in rooms and this person is in the room. How likely is it that there are that many misunderstandings? In all my time on this earth, I haven't had that many misunderstandings. But the 1 year that I befriend you and let you in my life, I got 7 misunderstandings. What's the likelihood of that? Sometimes we really just got to sit down and assess that. See, because where there's envy and strife. Now, some variations, instead of using the word strife, use the word selfish ambition. Because when there's envy, selfish ambition comes up. Why does she have that? I want what she has. Why does he have that? I want what he has. So there's that selfish ambition. So where those two things exist, envy and self-seeking, strife, there's going to be two things: confusion and every evil work. Gossip is evil work. Gossip is evil work. So when you start to see the fruit of envy, and we know people by their fruit, right? The Bible says you shall know them by their fruit. So when we start to see the fruit of envy, which is confusion and every evil work, the Bible also says God is not the author of confusion. God is the God of peace. And so when we see those two things, then that should give us reason alone to pause and to just kind of emotionally step back from the relationship and be prayerful about it. Because sometimes there are some people who you have in your circle and you may need to reevaluate your circle to say, I really don't know this person as well as I thought I knew them. Or there were little indications of confusion along the way. Always seemed to be a misunderstanding. Just about everything I said, they take out of context and they run with it and tell other people. They are so immersed in my life, and it's a little overwhelming. Like, how is it that they are calling my auntie's auntie, my uncle's uncle, and they're so immersed into every aspect of my life, I almost feel like I can't get away from them. So these are some things that you want to keep in mind. And these are 4 ways that a person who is envious of you will try to ruin your relationships with other people. Now, of course, it goes without saying that adults have free will. And if people choose to throw away your friendship based on what an envious person says, then at least you now know what it is. So just begin to evaluate your circle. If you see these indications, be prayerful, go to God. You have discernment, right? You have your own discernment. You have your own instincts. You have your own intuition. And sometimes what happens is when our intuition speaks to us, we may be dismissive of it because the person seems nice enough. They say all the right things. And a lot of times with red flags start out as yellow flags, right? Think about like red light, yellow light, green light. So before there's a red light that tells you to stop, there's a yellow light that tells you to pause. And I am big on yellow lights. I am so big on yellow lights. I do not like to let situations get to the red flag or red light stage. When I see a yellow flag or a yellow light, so to speak, that's enough for me because it's telling me to pause. Yellow means don't go yet. The light's about to change, right? When you're crossing the street. So when I see a yellow light, that lets me know don't go yet. Something's about to change. And so when you have these little yellow light indicators that something is off with the individual, put it in your mind. Let me pay attention to what's changing. They started out nice, but maybe they were love bombing me, because the person who was envious of you will love bomb you, because the goal is to gain your trust. The goal is to get into your life as quickly as possible without giving you the time needed to vet them. So be mindful of that. So with that being said, I hope you found today's video helpful. And if you've ever been in that situation where any of these 4 things have happened to you, how did you handle the situation? Were you able to catch it at the yellow light stage? Did you catch it at the red light stage? And what did you do to preserve your peace and to begin to pull away from the envious dynamic, so to speak? So with that being said, I want to share a couple of things with you. Join the channel. Become a member of the Cassandra Mack channel. There are some awesome things going on with the membership. When you click the join button, you'll see that there are 3 levels of membership, and you can see what comes with each level. So I want to invite you to become a member of the Cassandra Mack YouTube channel. There are videos that are for members only. There are ebooks that are for members only. There are special courses. We have a course coming up in May around workplace issues and developing soft skills for the workplace, and that'll be for members only. So you can check it out. Click the join button and it'll show you what comes with each tier of membership. If membership is not for you, then you can continue enjoying the free public videos. But if you want more deep dive content, if you want access to exclusive content, if you want access even to our Church by Phone replays, I would encourage you to become a member. Church by Phone Live is always free, always available to the public. But if you want the replays, that's available by becoming a member. So I want to make sure you know about that. If you are an entrepreneur, maybe you are a leader in ministry, maybe you have a book, a podcast, you can now advertise your business, your service, your product on the Cassandra Mack podcast. So to find out more, you'll see a link in the video description box. Click on the link and it will tell you what our requirements are for those who are interested in advertising on the Cassandra Mack podcast. And I want to make sure that you know about our new book in the Simple Prayers series, and that's Simple Prayers to Pray to Tame the Inner Critic and Win the Battle in Your Mind. You know, we can all have those thoughts that try to come for our self-esteem, that try to come for our confidence. And Simple Prayers to Pray to Tame the Inner Critic is just what it sounds like. It is Bible-based prayers that you can say in 1 minute or less to really begin to cultivate a more positive mindset. So with that being said, have an amazing day. Take care of yourself and each other. Be blessed, and remember to be a blessing wherever you go. I love you, and I'm so grateful for this community. Thank you for your support. Thank you for rocking with us at Cassandra Mack Ministries. We love you. God bless.